I'm Cheree Ramirez, the host of Community Unity by Children's Services Council of Martin County, located at the 10th Street Studio. We're back at the 10th Street Studio for another episode of Community Unity, and today my special guest is Rocco Napoli. He's Division Chief for Martin County Fire and Rescue. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to be able to highlight one of our community partners that is really just making a huge impact, obviously, because they're the Fire and Rescue for Martin County. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Rocco. How did you get to this position?
So it's an interesting journey. As you can hear by my accent, I'm originally from the Northeast, New Jersey. So
Saying it so.
yeah. So I kind of wasn't really planning on being in the fire department, but it kind of worked out that way. So when I left New Jersey in the 1994, I was in construction in my dad's union, and it was pretty cold. We have a little cold snap now. It wasn't nothing like this. It was a lot colder. So I always had the intention on maybe moving to Florida because my dad, his intention was to open up a restaurant, an Italian restaurant in the Jupiter area is where we ended up landing.
Okay.
So at the time, my girlfriend and I, now my wife, we came down with my dad, found a place in Fort Lauderdale, found a restaurant in Jupiter, so I was commuting every day.
From Fort Lauderdale?
Yeah, my wife and I, the girlfriend at the time. So did that for a couple of years. I have a degree in hospitality management. So dime a dozen, right? Italian restaurants in Florida, a dime a dozen, especially Jupiter in 95. There was not much going on. And the ones that were there were already established. So did that for a couple of years. But at the time, now I'm going to parlay into this world. My delivery driver called in sick. And we had a busy night, a busy day, I should say. So I had a phone call from a fire station. It was Tequesta Fire Rescue in Tequesta on Tequesta Drive. And they're still there. And they've been established since 93, just about 95, 96. So I said, all right, it's out of my area, it's out of our zone, but I'll do it. You guys are firefighters, I'll bring you your pizza. So I go bring him the pizza. And as I go there, I'm talking to the captain, and he's like, hey, you ever think about volunteering? And I was like, yeah, this is interesting. And they started telling me about the career path of fire rescue. I had a little bit of it because at the time, I did take Jersey City's test and Clifton, New Jersey. And I did FDNY's written test when I was 18.
So you kind of already
I kind of
had the interest.
We grew up north, like it was always instilled in us, have a good work ethic, and you want a job with benefits. That's what my dad and my uncles would always say to me, all of my dad's friends, you got to get a job with benefits, kid. So a lot of the people I grew up with either became firefighters, police officers, or sanitation or city workers to have those benefits. I was more active in the physical act. I wanted to always stay outside of the office. I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to be outside in the environment. Hence why construction was appealing, and then fire rescue was appealing. So when I did the delivery, I started signed up to be a volunteer, and I started filtered out of the restaurant, and I left it from my dad. And I ended up getting a job at like Comcast Cable. And at that time, I was going to academy at night. So I did that for 6 months. I went to EMT school first for 6 months in North Tech in Riviera Beach.
And why do you have to do EMT school first? Or did you have to do it
Back
first?
then, you didn't have to. Okay. Now you have to do EMT first because that gives you a base for when you go to the fire academy. It helps that transition into the fire academy when you're doing basic life support, BLS skills. So I went to EMT school first, and then I went to the fire academy, and I had to go at night because I had to work during the day. So it was 6 months to do each one. So that whole was a year process.
Wow, okay. So what year was it when you finally finished and you went into the field?
So I graduated, from the academy in June of 97. But I didn't get hired until March of 99. It was that competitive back then.
Oh, wow.
There was only a few jobs, openings for each department. And when I would go like an application process, you could have 700, 800 people.
Now, did you start with Martin County and you just
No.
went up the ranks, or where did you start?
I ended up starting with Tequesta.
Oh, nice.
The department that actually introduced me to the Florida style of going in the fire department. I was volunteering there, and they offered me a position, and I worked there for 2 years. But I was very straight up with them and they knew it. It's a small organization. It's one station. it was a stepping stone back then
Yeah.
because people got their foot in the door. Some have stayed, but most have left to tap your true potential. You want to go to, I say, bigger, better, just more opportunities for growth and upward mobility, even lateral
course.
moves, you know?
Well, and I feel like that's anybody in their career. They want
Mhm.
to continue to grow and move
Right.
up. For the most part, most people feel that way.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting that that's where you started. And you said the station's still in action today.
Still there. We run calls with them. We're mutual aid, and we talk to them. I talk to the fire chief constantly, so does our up the level, because the fire chief at DeQuesta now was my captain at one point. So we always kept the relationship, always kept the friendship, and plus we do work hand in hand. Excuse me, because our we have a station 36. It's on County Line Road.
Hope Sound.
No, that's 32. There's
Okay.
one even further south, right near Tequesta Fire Rescue. It's right
Okay.
where Palm Beach County and Martin County intersect.
Oh,
So we
I didn't know
still,
that.
yeah, we still operate with them, and we
Okay.
try to train with them when we can.
How many stations are in Martin County?
So we have 13, but traditionally 11. Out of that 13, one is Lifestar, which is our aeromedical. It's
Okay.
our helicopter, and the other one is Jupiter Island, which is a unique setup. It's we have a medic only at the station in an SUV and respond ALS, advanced life support. But when there's a fire or there's an incident, then 32 by South of Bridge Road will come in, and our other units will come in.
Okay. So is your helicopter hangared with Martin County Sheriff's Office?
We're next door. They have their own hangar, and then we have our own hangar. It's staffed with 2 of our firefighter paramedics that are flight medics, and then the company provides the pilot through Air Methods.
Okay. And you guys are at the Stuart Air Show
Mhm.
every year,
Correct.
helping with medical needs and
Mhm.
things as they come up. So I've seen you there volunteer.
Yeah.
We had Ben Hogarth come on in a previous episode talking about the Stuart Air Show.
Oh, okay.
So we try to continue to collaborate with different organizations and share like the community feel behind it, because it's community unity. It's
Correct.
the name of the
Yeah, yeah.
podcast. So tell me a little bit about your journey with Martin County Fire Rescue. How did you get to become the division chief, and what is your role as a division chief?
So, excuse me, I was hired in '01. So I left Tequesta on a Friday, and I started Martin County on that Monday. So there was really no break in
No
service
break.
for me. And so I was hired in '01 of February, and I just worked my way through the ranks. I never set out to be a division chief. My first goal was just to do a really good, I wanted to be the best at what I can do. I'll never be perfect. No one will be. And if you are, then yeah, there's a problem. But I always
some
I
humbling.
wanted to be good at what I did. So the station I was at was Station 33 in Hope Sound. I kind of fell right into it right away because I came with some experience, and I came with certain classes that the station wanted with regards to special operations, high angle rescue, dive rescue. Well, I didn't have dive yet. High angle rescue, some rope rescue, confined space. At DeQuesta, I completed those classes because there was a little bit of an incentive in pay to do that, but it did help me. I wanted to always be on a special operations team. I wanted to hang off buildings. I wanted to do that.
The Daredevil.
It was fun. And DeQuesta didn't have that. We had a little version of that, so I got the taste there. And so when I was literally driving past, I didn't know what Martin County was, quite honestly, until I started working at DeQuesta, because they would train together. I'm like, oh, Martin County, where's that? And they're like, oh, we're the next county up. Palm Beach County is south, Martin County's north. And then I started learning a little bit about them because they would train with us. And so I started learning about this organization. So I'll have in February, it'll be 24 years for me in this organization.
Wow.
So I was at the Station 33 for pretty much my whole career. When back then we had what was called lieutenants. Now they're called captains. Same position, different title. I took a lieutenant's just I didn't want to sit idle. We talk about a lot at our headquarters. If you sit idle too long, you become stagnant and you can't grow. So put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Fire chief says that a lot, and he's correct.
Well, you guys do that every single day as you're running into burning buildings.
Yes.
So.
And even the medical calls, if you sit idle too long, you just become stagnant. So I challenged myself. I had a little bit of an aspiration to move up another level, but really I just wanted something different. You get bored. So I did the lieutenant's test. I started stepping up, we call it, where I work as a lieutenant and I get like a little bit step up pay for the day, but I'm not promoted lieutenant. I did that for almost 2 years. And then right when I was testing again, I was promoted. So then we changed that title to captain later on. So I became the captain. And then as I did the captain for 9 years, I started thinking about becoming a battalion chief. That's the next tier of leadership on our street. If I work from the ground up now, we have our firefighters, we have our firefighter paramedics, and then we have lieutenants, and our lieutenants are on the rescues.
Okay.
And then we have other lieutenants that are in the training division. And if you go up another level, so you have a station, a rescue, which is an ambulance, and an engine and ladder, you have a lieutenant on the rescue, and then we have a captain on the engine and ladder.
Okay.
So the captain's the next level.
Okay. So you were a lieutenant. And,
We didn't-
So where's the?
That's why it
the
can be
name change?
confusing.
Okay.
When we were lieutenants back then, we had no lieutenants on the rescues.
Okay.
And then and then lieutenant changed to captain. The title changed.
That's where I was getting
Yes.
that
And then
confusion.
we just recently re-implemented lieutenants on the rescues. So up to this point, it was captains on the engine and ladders.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's very interesting. So now you're battalion chief, and are you over a couple different?
So when I became so I stepped up a little bit, right, the training until there's an opening. And then we do an interview when there's an opening for any supervisory class on the street or even up top. If there's an opening, you go in for an interview, and then you were selected. So when there was an opportunity for me to have a battalion chief interview, I sat for it, and they promoted 3 of us. It was me and 2 other individuals, I think 2019. And I did that for a short time, maybe a year. And then after that year is when the whole administration changed. Our fire chief left at the time. He went on to retire. And all the other chiefs it's a pension system called the drop. They all were in the drop, and they all just timed out. They left. So what that did is the fire chief, myself, and all the other chiefs pretty much came up all at the exact same time, give or take 6-7 months.
So what age do you time out?
It can be
typically?
both. There is no age limit on your retirement, but it gets to a point. There's 2 systems in FRS. It's a state plan, and then there's an investments version. In the investment version, you can work 90 years. You work as long as you want. But in the state plan, you can work past 33 years, but past that, with the multiplier, you're not getting anything. It's just the same.
Okay.
So you just keep working.
Interesting.
But it's a young person's game, and
Yeah.
it's hard to be in your 60s, pushing 70, and pulling lines and going in the fires, and even the sleep patterns, being up 5 after midnight, even some of these long brush fires you're on.
So what are your shifts like typically? I know, is it like 7 days on, 7 days off?
No,
Or
it's
how does that work?
the current shift, which has currently still the industry standard. It could be changing, but right now it's 24 hours on and then 48 hours off, and
Okay.
it keeps cycling.
Okay. And that's for everybody in fire rescue.
On the street,
On the
we're admin. We're Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Administration is Monday to Friday.
Oh, so it's gonna be a nice little break on the weekends.
There's pros and cons to eat. The shift works nice, but it is nice to be home every night. The family, the holidays, the weekends.
Yeah.
The sleep patterns. It really picks up your sleep patterns, your circadian rhythms, and all that.
So they live in the station.
Yes.
That they're
30 of your life. Someone did the math on it back in the day because all the stats come out. You will spend, if you do a career in the fire rescue on the street level, on that shift work, a third of your life is at the station.
wow.
It's kind of wild, right?
That is wild.
Yeah.
It's really really wonderful that we have men and women who sacrifice
Absolutely.
themselves, their time with their families to be able to keep us safe and healthy, So thank you for that.
No, thank you.
So I wanted to ask, is there any interesting, what's your most interesting story, if you can share it, that you, from a call that you've had? I'm putting you on the spot.
I mean, there's some things I can share, and there's some things I will not share.
Of course.
I mean, I'll put it this way. It's a line I've used, and some people laugh at me, but it's a line I use. People will call 911 for everything, right? Because they look at us as professional problem solvers. That's the line I use. Because we will not leave your emergency. If 911 gets called and we are responding, we are not leaving until it's mitigated. And if we can't mitigate it, someone will mitigate it. But we have been called we thought for an emergency, but like I remember, like we had to, she called us, it was an older lady, she wanted us to reprogram her cable box. So that's a very benign story.
I'm just thinking of a story that I've experienced where somebody called the fire rescue. I for nothing, but I was laughing at that because it's triggering a memory.
Yeah,
of
it's a
mine.
memory.
It's a
That's a
memory.
pretty, so I was trying to illustrate, we will get
Okay.
called for a lot of various different things.
Well, a few years back, I had an injury myself, and my daughter's like, "Who do I call?" I was like, "Don't call 911. I don't want that." I was like, "I just need somebody to come help me wrap this up because I sliced my finger in half." But
that would warrant a
it
911
would
call.
it would have warranted it. But I'm like, "No, don't call them. I'll be fine." And I'm just holding it up above my head and went about our way. We should call the neighbor. So
But the call like I was referring to, it was a long time ago. I was driving. I drove the ladder truck. We take that out, so we're there, and we go available, so we make sure we're available for if God forbid, if there's a medical emergency happening in our zone. So we don't have we actually did that. We actually reprogrammed our box for it because we look at it as a public outreach, as public education. It's anytime there's an opportunity to interact with the community, we do it, and we try and make it a positive experience. So when we leave there, they have a little bit of education on us, and we interacted with the community, and they know who their local firefighters are.
So great segue into Martin Cares. Can you tell me a little bit about your day with Martin Cares?
So
And
Martin,
explain what Martin
yeah.
Cares is.
I think we have 2 or 3 coming up this year, actually. So Martin Cares, it started a long time ago, even when I was on the street. And then we had something called the Citizen Fire Academy. We had a couple different versions. But Martin Cares is always good because it gives you, and I'm going to use my old term again, a soup to nuts view from like in a restaurant, from beginning to end view of how the entire county operates. And then there's a day in that Martin Cares where they come and do Public Safety Day, where it's police and fire. So when they come see us, they come to our headquarters, and we try and illustrate and demonstrate both ways, like a snapshot of our organization. They see our dispatch center, how we receive the 911 call so we can respond, how efficient that is. And then they'll look at our headquarters, and we'll line up on the wall, and our fire chief will actually address the crowd. And then we do a Q&A session. And then I don't want to give too much away because if people are taking it, there's some fun little things that we throw in there. There's a scenario, a medical scenario, and then we do a fire demonstration out in the parking lot, and then we basically give them the whole tour. So it's a lot of people do leave there not realizing half the things that went on to run a county, and I'm not just fire. We go to the sanitation and public works and SO sheriff's office. So it's a really good. If people are thinking about Martin Cares, you really should do it. You really understand the services that all of us provide in the county, and it's another good way to interact because the last couple of classes I've seen, there's been over 30, 40 people in them. And that's a good chunk of the county. If you can do a couple of those a year, and we do them every year, that's, the message gets spread.
So important. Education and resource is so important. And it's one of the reasons why I do this podcast,
Right.
Community Unity. So in our community, we've seen a lot of traffic.
Right.
How long does it take to get from the call to the job potentially, and what are some tools that you guys are using to help speed that up?
Sure. Well, it's a great question. So it's funny, we talk about fires. The most dangerous thing we do is going to and from calls. That's where the most accidents happen. So to have a qualified driver driving, we call them driver engineers driving our engines. Women and men, we have whoever passes, they're our driver engineer, and we have a list. So we have what's called traffic preemption. So this is what I want to highlight that. So when we first came up top 4 years ago, we had, what that is we had an opticom, it was called. It was a manual button. But we only had it for I think less than 2 or 3 intersections for the whole county. It was from the older days.
The main ones?
Yeah, the busy intersections. So we came up top, and we always had the boxes in our trucks. They never worked. We never operated with them. So before this new system I'm about to speak upon, we would come to a red light intersection, and it's not like in a movie, you blow through it. You stop. Our operational standards, the way we operate, you have to come to a complete stop. If there's a red light and you're going to an emergency, No matter what that emergency is, no matter how high level it is, you have to stop at the red light because you'll hit somebody. Then when it's clear, then we proceed through the intersection. So the benefit of this new system, it's called traffic preemption, it's called glance preemption. It was an artificial intelligent company that wanted to get into preemption. So we found this company through the traffic division in Martin County because they work hand in hand. And it's really designed for pedestrian safety. So, which is great. It's AI. So we put these devices in our apparatus. We have over 62 apparatus. So we started, when we first did it, I think we started with 10 or 20 intersections because it came in, it's taxpayer dollars and we had to be fiscal and we had budgeted money we were able to use. So we put that in there. So it's been a game changer in the organization. So I'll give a quick illustration. So we have our, it's called Station 23. It's just past Indian on Canner Highway. So when they come out of that station, they can make either a left or a right. So when they come out now with traffic preemption, we have the light, we have our preemption and all the lights, pretty much all of Canner Highway, all the way towards Indian Town, has preemption in it. So now if they come out and hit their blinker and make a left, that because they hit that left blinker, that blinker will trigger all those lights will turn green at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we call it green.
Impressive.
Yeah, green to the scene. So if we didn't do it that way, and we just had a green light in one intersection and not the next one, they would move, but we would push traffic to another bottleneck. So it's actually safer for flow of traffic.
Yeah.
They can go and we can go with them, and then they hopefully pull over and let us pass, and we keep going green to the scene. And that's the whole idea of preemption, is to get all the lights in the county, over 130 of them, get them all preempted. So, excuse me, when we're going to your emergency, it's automatic. When our lights are on, preemption's happening. It's cellular to the cloud, and then it goes to the traffic cabinets.
That's amazing.
And so we work hand in hand with the traffic division, and they go in, we pay half, they pay half now, we have it budgeted, and the goal is to get it completed as quickly as possible.
So for your budget, we'll talk about your budget just briefly. Who do you go to get approval? Is it the commission?
It's a process. We sit down with our CFO, Matt Resch, and he does our budget. He's like our key holder on that. We dovetail to him. We sit down as admin chiefs with him, and we go over our list of what's important. We use the term, what are we going to die on the hill on, right? There's certain things we can die on the hill on with operations and budget and supplies and equipment, but there's some things that we have the needs and the wants, right? Things where we have to operate efficiently and safely. And then there's things that can enhance the operation, but there's a cost to it. So we have to be strategic and smart about how we access that. But yes, it has to, the whole county goes through the budgeting process with the commission, and then it's a long day, but they go through all the items, and they give direction through our administrator of if we have to cut in certain areas we don't have to cut, and we just try and be real specific and strategic of the equipment we buy.
So is that taxpayer dollars?
Some of it's taxpayer dollars, yes. Yes.
And do you get grants as well?
Anytime there's a grant, we try and access it. So an example is right now, we were just approved by the commission from their leadership and support. Our fire chief did the presentation, and he definitely illustrated the need for it of 28 more recruits. So we have 28 people that start next week, and that's from the SAFER grant, and it's called Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. It's federal, and the beauty of the grant is it pays upfront for the first 5 years. So it pays everyone up there, and then obviously the burden's on the county after that, but it's almost like it's like a 401k, right, when they match your payment. So we needed the people, and we need to staff the truck. So the 28 that we recently start, it's going to enhance the operation. It's going to have us staff our trucks better, and we can put more rescues on the road and laterally spread them out, and we can respond effectively.
Awesome. So with that being said, do you guys service Indiantown?
We do.
Which stations service Indiantown?
It's an all-county response. They have full complement of all our resources, but it's called Station 24. Okay. It's a big station. We have 2 rescues, which are ambulances. We call them rescues here. 2 rescues, and then we have an engine, and we have a utility. We have brush trucks and tender out there. 2 tenders, tender and brush trucks. So it's a big station.
And that's for what the wildfires that happen?
Well, they run everything like anything else in town. The issue is they're a distance.
Okay.
So The closest station to them is Station 22, Tropical Farms, and that's still a ride.
Okay.
So a lot of times our running term in our department is Indiantown is on their own. It's a cliche statement, but we make comments like we have to get resources out there pretty quick is why we beefed up some certain things in our operation because it is a big station, which is good. When a call drops out there, and especially if it's going out to Port Mayaca or Connors Highway, that's way out
Is
there.
that still Martin County?
Yes, we still respond out there. We run calls with Okeechobee. That's how far out it goes. So when that happens, we backfill. Our stations in town, what we call is move-ups and central coverage. We'll move up the operation, and it's automatic through our dispatch to respond and cover that area.
So those 28 new hires will be put
Strategically,
into the
yeah, we'll beef up our
strategically placed, yeah.
rescues. We have some operational, I say challenges, but we're always looking at the operation to be effective. So we've had second rescues on the road. We've beefed up primary rescues with 3 to be efficient. We look at data a lot. And when we look at the data, we say, what's more efficient? And we'll say, well, Exhibit A may be more efficient than Exhibit B. Let's go with Exhibit A for a while. And then someone may have an idea like, hey, let's try this. So that's the beauty that we're all on that page of wanting to always be better and constantly wanting to like move the goalpost.
I love that.
You know, because at the end,
Needed.
yeah, well, it works
Can't
for the
stay the
county,
same.
for the community unity.
Community,
It takes care of the community because our goal is to get to your emergency as quickly and safely and effectively as possible and get you to your destination.
So there's a lot of communities in Martin County that have gates.
Yes.
What are some tools that you use for communities that have gates?
Excellent question. Because it kind of falls in line with the preemption. It's like you have to have both in a way. So let's say I'll get right to the end word. It's called click to enter. And like it is, you click to enter a development, but it's a device. So we have all this traffic preemption and then we go to a gate. And if it's an unmanned gate, and then we have to we have to delay. We'll have to get, because this is how we used to do it. And we're still doing it at some gates. We get out and we could still make access, but we get out with a key. It's called a Knox box key. It's required to have. And then we put it in there, we open it, and we leave the gate open. We can make entry. But when I was an officer, I was responsible. I'm not going to have the driver get out, stop. They stop, I have them seatbelted in. I would get out as the officer. On my tailboard, we called he or she, whether the backwards firefighter, open the gate. With the click to enter system, it's called, for any unmanned gate, all I do now is as we're rolling in, if you're the captain or the officer on a truck, you just click your radio mic. So when you click your radio mic, the gate will open. And then it closes behind you.
Much more.
And then you don't have to secure it either because we used to have to close it to secure it on the way out.
Wow.
And you can time it out. I can make the gates, well, our fire prevention, they lead it. They can make the gates stay open for 1 minute to 20 minutes. Now, obviously, we don't want to open that long because we don't want unsecure communities. But that has been a game changer too because if I have an air pack on and we're packing out, we call it, to go to a fire, let's say off Sea Branch, you know, it's all gated communities. And it's a big community. Sometimes you're way in the back. That 30, 40 seconds, maybe longer, now you have an air pack on, you have all this extra weight on you, you're going in and out of the truck, prevents injury, it delays, it could be in a rainstorm and lightning. Now I can just click the gate and go right in. I probably save 30 to 45 seconds. So it's an exponentially the time it saves.
So have you seen like an uptick in your calls out lately, or is that
Well, I'll reverse it. We've seen, you said uptick, we've seen, yes, we're actually, our call volumes, it's interesting. It's strange because our call volume hasn't gone up that much, but it seems like we're running more than ever. Now, what we are running a lot, 4 to 6 car accidents a day. Just the other day, I was listening to the radio, we ran, I think, 7.
Wow.
It's constant. And that's because, you know, the way we're situated, a lot of people come from St. Lucie, go work to Palm Beach County, or go to St. Lucie County. And some people stop in here, but the point is, we're a thoroughfare. Our 95, our corridor on 95 and the Turnpike, we get a lot of car accidents.
And US 1.
And then in town, we get quite a few car accidents. And a lot of it's distracted driving. You know, these cars have more technology in them. So people are more distracted with their big, you know, their big LCD screens and then soundproof. And I don't know if you've seen a newer car, the glass around it, a lot of things are turning, a lot of car manufacturers. It used to be tempered glass. Now it's laminated. It's almost like, think of a hurricane window in your car.
Yeah.
So, and it's all for soundproofing. Hence why people don't hear us sometimes. We have to really like hit the lights and sirens and the horn so people can move out of the way. And conversely, if someone's beeping a horn and you may hit something, you're not paying attention to it and you hit something.
So people, you are still supposed to pull over to the side of the road when you see fire rescue or our sheriffs on the road with their lights going. You're supposed to pull over to the side of the road. I have seen that so often where people are, I'm like, why are they not pulling over? What's going on? Like,
Where I grew
do
up,
they not know this?
it was a big deal, and I'm sure the producer in the other room can attest to it from Yonkers. Growing up, I don't know, it was instilled in our brain. You pull over and you just stop.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I don't know.
You hear them and it's done. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, there you go. But you don't continue driving. I've seen that a lot lately. And I'm in the car like yelling at the people. My daughter's like, they can't hear you, Mom. And I'm like, I know. They obviously can't hear the sirens either.
But we do recognize, as in our field, and we do train our people, the way these cars are built now, not everyone hears you. So, because I've done it myself, if I'm in my own personal vehicle and I see lights or sirens behind me where I live, you don't hear it. I roll the window down just a little, then I can hear it. Because even in our signals we learn, when we're in our engines or ladders especially, you can almost outrun the sound of it in the vehicle. Like if we were going, now our trucks are governed, they don't go over a certain amount, but some departments can go up to 80, 90 miles an hour, I'm sure. It's a thing that you have to be signed off on, but we have governors on our vehicles, so it's hard to outrun it now, but you can outrun the effective audible warning devices if you're going too fast in the truck.
So 911 is obviously the number to get a hold of fire and rescue.
Right.
Everyone knows 911. But for your website, for your communications, I know you have an Instagram and Facebook page for people to follow, Martin County Fire and Rescue. And you share updates of community events that you're attending. I know that you've had trucks attend events for Children's Services Council and Hippie of Martin County out in Indiantown. So you guys are very involved in the community. You're involved with Stuart Air Show. Is there any other activities that you want to focus on or share with the community?
I say the little things, but they're the most impactful. I used to love it too when I was on the street. Just going and doing our public education during Fire Prevention Week, going to the schools like Bethel Lutheran, we go to Pine School, South Fork. We went to, C Branch, Seaman's Middle, or C Branch. It was fun seeing the little children in there and just talking about fire safety. Simple things like that, interacting with them, the parents, the teachers. Because it's funny, some of those kids grew up to be like cadets of ours. Like we have cadets that are, they're in the teenage years, they're not quite 17 yet, that think they may want a career in fire service, fire rescue. So they're exposed. We have people that run that program. We used to have volunteers and reservists back in the day, but now we don't have that anymore because we had some issues with that. So we try and pull from the cadets. We tried to beef up the cadet program and make it more specific and definitive so we can actually pull from that.
So how does one get information about the cadet program if they're interested?
You go to martin.fl.us. Our website should have everything on there. We have our community outreach division, and Josh Jenkins, I know you know, he does a lot with the pub eds, the public educations, and schedules that. So does Danielle in our office. She gets a lot of them. High note. She gets a lot of requests from places that, whether it's touch a truck, whether it's just a raffle for someone to win a ride to school in the fire engine.
Oh,
and they all
fun.
come through our other part of our administrative staff. So I don't see those. I see it on the end when they say, is it okay to send this unit, that unit? I look to see what zone it's in, and I try and get the closest unit so it makes sense for them to go do that. And then we just cover it in the operation. But
because it's about having that relationship with the community.
Yes.
Like you said, it's why you fixed the cable box for that old lady.
And we have a PIO, and I'm not on social media.
No.
So that's why I see it at work. I'll see what he has on his computer, or guys and girls at work will show me. But I think we have an Instagram page, a Facebook page. I think I'm not sure if he's on, I think we're on Twitter. Or it's X now. It's X
X
now.
now.
That's right, Twitter. And so we're out there, and we'll do messaging, and the PIO will do messaging, and I know he does messaging with Ocean Rescue because they fall under us as well. They fall under Fire Rescue umbrella.
So all the beach activity that happens,
Yes.
fire rescue is in charge of that.
De facto, yes. We have an Ocean Rescue chief, does a great job, and his staff and his leadership. But yes, they report to one of our division chiefs, and who we all work together, and we're all on the same page. A lot of departments, Ocean Rescue falls under Parks and Recs, but in our organization, and it might have been like that here maybe 30 plus years ago,
Yeah.
but they fall under Fire Rescue, and they should because we all operate together.
So thank you so much, Rocco, for your time today and for all that Martin County Fire Rescue does for our community, and all the innovations that you guys are making to continue to help grow and develop your skill set, and for being the front line for us
Thank you.
and going into fire buildings on fire when everybody else is running out. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys have a great day. Thank you for listening to Community Unity. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Share our information with friends and family to help spread the information on life-changing programs funded by CSCMC, made possible by the homeowners of Martin County.